Neil Atkinson and Paul Cope, and it feels like we're bookending Shaqiri, because when Shaqiri broke, it was me and you doing Talking Reds, and we had a big chat about it, and we were. And I'm still of the position that, you know, if there's two others coming in and Shaqiri, then I can tolerate Shaqiri. I'm worried we're going to end up seeing more Shaqiri than we want to see. That's my thing here is, and in general, my amount of Shaqiri I want to see is probably none, and we'll come on to talk about that in a minute, but I think he's a perfectly logical, sound, you know, I'm not arguing with the logic behind the signing. I would just like to get Shaqiri and get Julian Brandt and get Nabil Fekir and say, right, this is it, lads, this is what we're about.
Yeah, it is. Like, I think we've only ever done 2 Talking Reds, and they've both been the Shaqiri bookend.
Yeah.
So maybe this is like mine and Robbo's thing on Talking Reds seems to have become we just answer random questions from the internet.
Okay.
Which has now got my mum and dad going to me. Why are you answering questions about sausages on the Anfield app? I literally got asked that question yesterday. My dad was like, "Where did that question come from?" He didn't really get the Twitter angle. And now our thing is Shaqiri, which I think is content going forward, isn't it?
Yeah,
probably.
Files.
They're the only time we'll be on shows together.
The Shaqiri Chronicles.
Yeah, it's funny listening to your. If you haven't watched or listened to the gutter from, was that yesterday?
Yeah,
I think it was a very good gutter. It was
very
really
gutter.
on the gutter. So, and we had a chat about this in Neil's slide into the dark side for Shaqiri. But I can see where you're coming from there, that because we're very much on the same page as that. I want Fekir plus one other belter, and Shaqiri is fine with me. But I think probably, maybe not even subconsciously, maybe very much consciously, that's because we both know if we get Fekir and another belter, we won't see that much of Shaqiri actually, and we can sort of put up with that. I can put up with a Shaqiri knocking around for League Cup games and just having him on the bench just in case.
Yeah.
I very much don't want to be seeing him for 40 games a season.
So if we go through in the League Cup and we stay in the League Cup, we've got 6 Champions League group games, and the New Year's Day game against Manchester City is Liverpool's 31st game of the season.
Okay.
So we start on August the 12th. Now we start on August the 12th, and then to New Year's Day, that's 31 games. Plus within there's a September, October and November international break. And it's fair to say that a number of Liverpool's players will go away on those international breaks and play 2 games.
Yes.
So what you're looking at is, potentially, without injury, a player can be in a position where he could be asked to have played 37 games, either selected or not selected, for 37 opportunities from August the 10th until New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So we agree wholeheartedly that to do this, and for the Liverpool to be the Liverpool we want, Liverpool need to have quite a big squad.
Yes.
And we can also say the transfer window closes on August the 9th.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of time for Liverpool to do stuff. So in amongst all of this, you can say it makes a ton of sense to do Shaqiri if you're getting him for about 13 to 15 million. Yeah?
Yeah. I think we're in complete agreement on that.
We've followed that through logically,
yes,
and it means we can't be grumpy about it. So
yes,
people are going, don't be grumpy, lads. This is so we can say that this is the reality.
Yeah.
And what you can also say is last season, for a misperformance Stoke side, Shaqiri gets 34 games. He plays more minutes than any of our players play last season.
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't that
Didn't
interesting?
know that, yeah.
Any of our players, he gets more time on the pitch than any of them.
Okay.
In Premier League football.
Yeah.
So not across all comps, because Stoke didn't get into any other comps. Stoke's all comps games really weak. They weren't very good at the comp they were mostly in. So the idea that they were going to succeed in other comps, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, but it's more. So he gets more minutes than I think any other Liverpool player.
Okay.
Full stop gets.
Yeah.
So there you're able to point out and say, well, that's a pretty decent fitness and attendance record.
Well, let's come back to this. We'll bookmark that and come back to it in a second.
All right, we'll come back to that in a second. We can challenge that. But he gets 8 goals for this misperformance Stoke side, and I think he gets 7 assists.
Okay.
And there you can say, well, that's all right. And on all of this, I am all right to say all of that is all right. That the hard facts of the matter, the hard facts of the value, the hard facts of what he's done, what he did last season, all of that, I'm all right.
Yeah, okay.
Are you all right?
I'm all right with most of it. The one bit that you mentioned there, which I think is, when we go back to the opening bookend of all of this, which was our concern, I think, is that I could play more minutes for another team than any Liverpool player, just by standing around on the pitch.
Of course.
It's the same as the Joe Allen's got 100% pass completion rate and Steven Gerrard going, and what?
Yeah.
Like, what's he doing with it?
Yeah.
I don't care. He can just keep passing it sideways and backwards. I don't care. I'd rather have a 20% pass completion rate, but those 20% passes all create goals.
Yep, that's fair.
And that's
an extreme example, but fair.
Yeah, and one of our points in the first one we did of this, which I think we both probably... I love the way we're going through this logically.
Yeah, we're going to have to go through this logically.
Calmly.
That's how we're going to tolerate it.
This is how we'll get through it.
Yeah.
Is that when we've seen Shaqiri play, and the World Cup was no different for me for this, I can't picture him playing for a Jurgen Klopp team and getting anywhere near let's say hypothetically for a second, he is a first choice player. There's no way he's doing that many minutes for a Jurgen Klopp team, is there?
No. He's getting. Well,
he's probably doing 20 and then going, I've had enough.
This is very hard.
Yeah.
There is definitely that. So, but let's at least tolerate that for a second and say that they must know that.
Yes.
The people who are buying players for Liverpool, they must know that before we start, that there's something else in there. What it becomes is, it really is, and this is what I think people find difficult, and I understand why people find this difficult. Where I find Shaqiri difficult is a question of aesthetics. And I don't mean literally what he looks like as a person. I mean the sort of footballer he is and what he does on the pitch and what I know that makes me do. Yeah. So it's constantly playing a lot of high-risk passes, attempts on goal, forcing the issue. It's a lot of forcing the issue. And when I go through it logically, I begin to say, well, I don't know, and it could go either way, is whether or not we need someone who, against a deep defence, because most of the sides we play, whether home or away, they play some variety of a deeper defence. Whether or not we need someone who will be prepared to consistently force the issue, is that a positive, or is that could that be something that disrupts our rhythm? And I don't think we're going to know that until we've seen him play. And I also think, and this is where it gets that interesting, I don't think the manager is either. I think the manager can have all of his ideas, but there are times when, as a footballer, you do get sent out on the pitch, and the lads have still got to put it into action. Yeah, we can be quite complacent about that and presume, well, they always all do. They often don't. I remember last season I was talking to you that there was one game in particular where Henderson and Van Dijk were absolutely furious with where Joe Gomez kept standing. They were livid. The pair of them were livid with him. And so we can think, well, that must be that they're not happy because there's been an agreement. This is what you're going to do, and you're not doing it, and we want you to do it. Yeah. So that's the key thing. That's the key test on this, is whether or not the way he goes about his business, even allowing for the other stuff, does that. And that's where I find, as I say, I don't like the sort of footballer he is, but it might well be that Liverpool think, well, we sort of don't like it, but we could do with having one of them.
Yeah, I'm a bit torn on it, because I think we have to put it in context and say that even the most ardent fans got frustrated with Phil Coutinho at times for having shots outside the box.
And just forcing it.
Just forcing it loads. And you saw this for Brazil.
Clip balls over
it got to the point where it's like, just give me the ball and I'll shoot. I can do this thing where I put it in the top corner, and you're like, but you can't do that every time, mate, so can you just stop doing it? And that's Phil Coutinho. He's pretty good at footy, from what I remember. Shaqiri's not as good at if we're just making practical statements that we can agree on. Yeah. Shaqiri is not as good as Phil Coutinho.
That is undoubtedly true.
I think we can all agree on that.
We're all on board.
Pre or against the argument. So if the idea of, well, we'll break down some of these defences by having this lad from Stoke having shots from outside the box and forcing the issue, if that's part of the plan, I'm not really on board with that. I don't see how that helps us that much. But going back to the other thing about the interesting thing about the players don't do what managers want, that I don't see how anybody ever disputes that. Like, if players literally did what managers want, managers would be far happier, wouldn't they? All the time. There was a clip even last night in the England game of one of the coaches in Southgate's here, and you could see in his body language he was saying, well, these dickheads aren't doing what we want them to do. Yeah. Literally. And it's like, why aren't they? I don't know. These are the best ones, literally. These are the best ones in the country, and they're not doing it. So, but the other thing I keep coming back to, which I think we can all lose sight of, is we just keep thinking that players we buy will be the players that we've seen in the past. Yeah. But we've got loads of examples now of that just not being the case.
Of them improving when they get it.
Improving or just being different. Yeah. Like, just different footballers where we're like, oh, we didn't see that coming. Yeah. I always refer to Gini Wijnaldum, but Gini Wijnaldum's a perfect example, isn't he? Yeah. Like, we're buying another number 10. That seems a bit mad. Oh, no.
Yeah, no,
not playing there.
And that's definitely the case. And the other one that sort of grabs me, and there's a way to circle this back around in a minute. The other thing that sort of grabs me when I think about what he could do and try to frame it positively, I can see him being quite effective against the bottom 10 away from home. When there's a tiny bit more space, when they've got to try to play a little bit more. Yeah. I think that's where the idea of someone who can play and will try to play an ambitious 30-40 yard raking pass to get one of our quick players in. I can see that happening for him. I can see a lot of things going out for throw-ins and a lot of people going, But and I hate that. I mean, that's my, and he's not the same player as, but that's my Shaqiri Charlie Adam fear. Watching Charlie Adam apologise for the season was amongst the worst things that's ever happened to me. But it's another.
Sorry to interrupt. Have we had the conversation? I know not on a show, but off air about my. I think it's my biggest bugbear about modern society now.
What?
Apologies. Just not just on a football pitch. Just people apologising all the time. The Jason Cundy one the other week. I did this thing yesterday, and now I'm going to be just dead sorry for it. Why? I'd much rather, mate, you just went, no. That's just what I think.
Or conversely, don't say the stupid stuff in the first place. Before you go on, interrogate your own thoughts a bit and go, I am actually being really wrong here. Spend some time thinking.
But even if, like, you can't go, like, today I'm 100% right, and tomorrow I've realised I'm 100% wrong now. That literally doesn't happen. And like, to bring it to the footy point, that, like, oh, sorry, mate. You're like, oh, just stop apologising. Just stop it. You just kicked it out again. Just either stop kicking it out again or stop apologising for kicking it out. Stop doing this middle thing.
It's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. So I think that's the thought process. I think you can go right the way through it. To come back to why people go, oh, why don't you like it, Neil? Why aren't you in favour of it? It's because I've watched loads of footballers who remind me of him and they've done my head in, including Phil Coutinho. This is really important. Rob tried to, not stitch me up, it'd be the wrong way to phrase it, but Rob said on one of the shows, I think it was a Wildcards, he went, the thing is, everyone's just got to know, Neil didn't really like watching Coutinho. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. I had a problem with Coutinho either thinking he was or being our best player, because that's the sort of player. And again, it might be with Shaqiri that he comes, he's no longer got the onus of the idea of I'm the best player. Actually, I've looked around the squad, I'm about number 11. When I rate it all, I'm about number 11, so I've got to therefore perform like this. And maybe, just maybe, that means again the idea that he comes to Liverpool and he changes, because what he's not able to do, like when Alden could at Newcastle, is go, I'm the best player on the pitch. Now he's got to go, oh, actually, I'm here to make them the best players on the pitch, because they are. And maybe that works as well. So I can sort of talk myself into it. The only thing is, as I say, and by all means do laugh about it, which is what you did on the show, genuinely, when he does blaze one over from 30 yards, do think that somewhere in the ground, and this is the other thing as well, I think, you know, I don't go to every game, but I'm at a lot of games, and I just know that there's going to be some point in November where I'm going to turn to whoever I'm sitting next to and go, I've had enough of this.
I've already got in my head, this is a separate conversation. Do you remember when they used to do player cam on Sky? There should very much be a Neil Atkinson Shaqiri cam.
Like, I'm just like this in the ground. Like,
just constant. And you'll know, like, it's really hard for you, because we'll all be laughing. Whoever you're sitting with will be laughing their heads off. So this is the counter for all of us who are mates with Neil outside of these films.
The wider diaspora of people that like to think that, you know, I could be their friend. By all means, just laugh at me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we'll all get entertainment value from it, which, I mean, is a bit counterproductive, because we're all in it to watch Liverpool win. But there will be footage of loads of us in ground laughing when Liverpool are getting beat by Man United, and we're all laughing because Shaqiri's just blazed another one over. On that ego thing, the sort of the footballers and Coutinho, just in your support as well, I still get stick from some mates about this as well, because I had the same thing with Gerrard for a period, where the reality is Steven Gerrard's best years were when he was surrounded by loads of other boss lads who wouldn't have it. You just go to him, stop it now, give it to me, Steven. Like the famous footage of the Alonso goal from the halfway line of Fulham. Love that. One of my favourite things. About to kick off on Alonso, and then he goes, oh, it's good that. It's good that. He's good in. Just scored from the halfway line. But with anyone else, he'd have absolutely slaughtered them. Give it to me, I'm Steven Gerrard. But you have to knock that on the head. And actually, even as when you're saying all that, on the back of the latest stuff with England and Croatia, we've got enough on our hands, haven't we, with Dejan Lovren coming back as the greatest player in the world. We've got enough ego to try and manage in that squad without Shaqiri coming in and having shots.
He is the big dog at his yard. That's his attitude.
I think it's undisputable, isn't it?
I think it was a brilliant... His first half performance, I thought, was a magnificent bit of chaotic defending. I thought he basically defended on the edge for 45 minutes and got away with it. He should have been booked about 4 times. Didn't get booked at all, I don't think, in the first period. No. And he repeatedly... There was one point where if he doesn't foul him, it's a 2v0. That's what but he does it and he nails it. And I thought he was. I thought he had a really good game in a way that centre half purists wouldn't like. It's not like there's the great story of Gary Lineker swapped shirts with Brazy at the end of the game. Have you heard it?
No.
Lineker played against Brazy in a game once, and he swapped shirts with Brazy at the end of the game, and he said his shirt wasn't even wet, hadn't sweated. He just walked around. And he said, I never got a kick, didn't score, kept a clean sheet.
Love that.
Just never sweated. It's fair to say Dejan Lovren sweats. Yeah. Is it central defensive style could be defined as sweating?
Yes.
In the comparison of this story.
Yeah.
And but simultaneously, if you're a central defensive purist, you don't like him because it's not as though he exudes an air of general calmness and assurance that we can all get behind. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
But I like his comments post-match, and the reason why I like them is, firstly, I like Liverpool players backing themselves, but the other reason why is he's probably right, and it really upsets people.
Yeah, so you say this on Twitter this morning.
Me and John were talking in the office, and it's like the people think there's an invisible league we don't know about in other places.
Yeah.
We're all great.
I find myself, that's a great way of putting it, I find myself in debates with people a lot at the moment, and it's mainly about, well, I suppose about any players, isn't it? But it's mainly goalkeepers and defenders, where you're like, well, name them. We were literally in Dublin earlier in the year with mates, and we literally had this conversation with someone who couldn't name. He hates Jordan Henderson and couldn't name 5 better centre midfielders
who were currently active,
who were currently playing. You can't have. I always say this whenever we play this game. I always say you can't have Graham Souness.
It's not allowed. He's 60.
That's the rule.
He's 60. He can't play anymore. But he's probably better than me. But that's not the point. You can't have Graham Souness. So on the centre halves thing is, Nicolas Otamendi has just played week in, week out for a side that's got 100 points. Yeah. I don't know how good he is, and I don't think he's very good.
No.
I've got no sense of how good he is. He looked a complete mess for Argentina.
Yeah.
At times, whenever I've seen him play for City, he's looked a mess, but he's just played centre-back for the champions and got 100 points.
Yeah.
There's clearly the lads, like Van Dijk, exudes, brilliant, great, love him, clearly a great centre-back. I think you'd be churlish to reject the Real Madrid lads, given everything they've achieved the last few seasons. Great players. But it isn't like 10 years ago, where United have got Ferdinand and Vidic, and Chelsea have got Terry and Carvalho, and Liverpool have got Carragher and either a peak Agger or a peak Hippier for Carragher to play next to. Yeah. It isn't, Arsenal have got Sol Campbell and Kolo Touré. None of these lads are playing, and I would say all of those centre-backs I have just named, if they were at their peak years now and playing Premier League football, they would be in competition with Van Dijk to say they're the best centre-half in the country. That's it. They would be in competition. That's the drop-off. I don't want Arsenal centre-halves. No interest in them.
No.
I like Bailly at United, but he's never fit.
No.
He's impressed me whenever I've seen him. As I said, City stuff, who's better, how many, is John Stones that outstanding? Well, Guardiola didn't think so because he stopped picking him for a variety of reasons. And then you go to Chelsea, so Azpilicueta's been great, but he is 5'10", but he has been great. So, all right, you can have Azpilicueta, I'll be gracious. Name me the next one. And all the way through on all this, Spurs too, everyone likes Spurs too, but to use the John Gibbons line, if all of Spurs' players were as good as everybody says all of Spurs' players are, they'd have 105 points and be beating Man City to the title. They haven't. Yeah. And this is my sort of, so you've almost got to say, yeah, Dejan Lovren probably is one of the best centre-backs in the world. That might mean there's a crisis in modern central defending, and I'll take that. If you want to have that argument, that's fine. But when you begin to go, so if we say probably the best, do we think he's probably in the top 5? No. Do we think he's probably in the top 20? Yeah, he probably gets in. He probably gets in the top 20.
Yeah. Well, I think it's beyond probably, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, name 20 who were better than him. Like, once you get through that list you've said, and I know there'll be Liverpool fans out there going, yeah, but he's literally played in... and this is my big... It's the Henderson thing. Yeah, and I love it when people go, but he's crap. And this is the bit where I get annoyed in these conversations. Like, well, can we just at least accept he must be pretty good? Yeah. Let's start at pretty good, because he's an international footballer who plays for Liverpool. He's played in the defence that got us to a Champions League final against... I mean, we knocked Man City out, using Otamendi as an example. Well, he was awesome in those 2 games. And then he's going to a World Cup final. And people can say about his performance last night, oh, he was wild. But that's because he does these things that are wild, but it blinds you to all the other stuff he's doing that's brilliant, which is dominate. Like, going into that game, England, every time England get a free kick, it's like, oh, here we go, England are great at these.
Yep.
Didn't threaten from one. Well, one of the reasons for that is Dejan Lovren's playing well.
Past that. There's something else as well, which is that he's now got to a Europa League final and a Champions League final in 3 years, and been I think probably got the most time on the pitch at centre half in a side that's finished top 4 back-to-back seasons.
Yeah.
I think that's probably true. He said he's the centre half who got the most minutes for Liverpool last season, more than Van Dijk, because Van Dijk comes in halfway through the season, so you can say, well, it's a bit by default, but it's not really, in that we were at top 4-ish around Christmas anyway. I think we improved massively with Van Dijk, and it'd be churlish not to say that, but that's the journey that you're on. And I think that, so at some sort of point you've got to say, yeah, he's top 4 class. He's Champions League class.
Yeah.
He's got to a Champions League final, a Europa League final, and 2 seasons top 4. He's top 4 class. And if we all just want to calm down and stop there, then I'm fine with that. Let's calm down and stop there if you want. But then he does therefore get to say, yeah, I'm probably one of the best defenders in the world. And there you go. In the same way that, you know, there's a ton of people who can say, I'm probably one of the best X in the world.
Yeah.
And we can all go, no, there must be better than him.
Yeah.
There must be better than insert name here. You know, Kieran Trippier is probably right to say, I'm probably one of the best 20 right wing backs or right backs in the world.
Yeah.
And if he'd have said that 3 weeks ago, if someone had said that to me 3 weeks ago, I'd have gone, I'm not having that. Come on, let's get the books out. Let's just go through some Italian lads. There must be something here. There must be something that we don't know about. No, I'm probably one of... Yeah, you probably are. Anyway, should we do the shows? The shows that are coming up. Gutter yesterday was brilliant. It's out. If you subscribe, it's not as though you can only listen to the new stuff. You can listen to what's there and present. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. theanfieldwrap.com/subscribe to do that. Yesterday's Gutter was the absolute business. Paul was on it. I wasn't. I produced in silence, even though I wanted to throw things at Rob. I don't know how much of it. I thought it was a class act, really, wasn't it?
I was amazed. There was a couple of moments where I thought you've moved towards a mic here. Yeah, I've tempted you towards a mic, and then it was like you took a deep breath and thought, no, I'll leave it. I'm
not on this show. I thought I'll just produce it and take it easy and enjoy listening. It was fantastic. It's about an hour long, and a lot of it goes into the carrier stuff. It's a fascinating listen, and well done. You know, I've made up Adam Smith, Paul, Rob, and Mo, all of the business right the way through. So that's there. That exists. There is also to come out today. There's going to be an AFQ, so we're doing it today. So be ready. I'm going to ask you a few questions, probably about 4:30. And there's also a World Cup show looking back. I've gone here, looking back on the semi-finals and looking ahead to the final and the 3rd, 4th place playoff for that matter. So that's to come today as well. There'll be more and more Shaqiri stuff. The one thing I would say, the other thing about Shaqiri is I think if Liverpool sign Shaqiri, it means they think they're signing Nabil Fekir. I think that is a marker point and we're sticking out for, and we'll be on top of that right the way through. It is the Anfield Wrap. Thanks to Paul Cope, talking Reds, see you in a bit.